And now, back to the Me That Remains podcast with Amy Grant. Okay, we're moving on to a special song. One of the songs that was special to me, The Other Side of Goodbye. You're joined on this song by two of your children. As you said, you have a bunch of kids. There's never a dull moment. But Sarah and Karina sing on this song with you. But it's interesting because this song is about when your mother, Gloria, transitioned. Mm-hmm. And the opening lyrics read, "I can't forget my mother's face as we watched her fade and slowly take the final breath of her sweet life. I swear she lit up like a child." Before I get into some questions, tell me about your mom, Gloria. What was she like?
She was beautiful. And my experience as her youngest daughter was magical. I didn't really get to know my mother really until I was probably 17. I know that sounds weird, but I spent a lot of time with my mom's cousin, who was like an aunt to me, and the only babysitter I ever had. She was never married, and she was a school teacher. So that's another whole story. But, you know, when you're in a family, you don't necessarily understand the dynamics of it. You're just in it.
Yeah.
And so my parents were very kind, very generous, not the center of attention. My mother was elegantly beautiful, and my father was, he was a handsome man. He was a doctor. He was in radiation oncology, so he was all dealing with dying people. Or people, he would say somebody's living with cancer. Mm-hmm. My parents were people of deep faith. They were very welcoming. It's funny to be grown now and like talking to all my sisters. Each of our experience with our parents was different. Mm-hmm. You gotta go, and the mystery continues.
How many sisters do you have?
I have 3 older sisters.
Okay.
So my mother passed away on the week of her 80th birthday, and she had battled dementia, as did my father, and but the last 3 weeks of my mother's life, she was in hospice care here at our house. I loved my relationship with my mom, and we were not thick as thieves talking a lot when I was little. I just remember playing a lot. Now, you know, I just remember playing, kind of being lost in my own creativity. I don't remember a lot of conversations with my mom. You know, as I've gotten older, I sort of go, I wonder why I was not more curious about asking my mother about her life when she was young. So she was born in 1931. Her parents divorced when she was 2.
Whoa.
She was sent to live with an aunt and uncle for 5 years. Her mother came back with a husband and for Mom a stepbrother. Then her father died 2 years later. She had a little brother born that was just the apple of her eye. Like that was her blood kin. And 2 years before I was born, and when my mother was pregnant with my sister Carol, that brother was killed in a car wreck. And he was a senior in high school. And so my experience of my family was so different from my 2 oldest sisters. Mm-hmm. But it was the only one I knew. And so just this whole, everybody sees life through a different lens. I never questioned that kind of the main person I remember in my life was a woman close to my mom's age, but not my mom.
Yeah.
Every person's relationship is different, but what I know is that whatever our relationships were with our mother, all of us had the gift of a lot of reconciliation and time spent in the same space, and proximity matters. And so a day and a half before my mom passed, 2 days before she passed, I woke up one morning, I was kind of washing my hair, and all of a sudden this idea just came to me like a download. We need to have a girls' night in. And I called each of my sisters and I said, just think of 10 stories about Mom. And you don't have to write them down, that's too exhausting, but just a word, just anything. And it can be, I remember the time she fell off the stepladder, and my sister was, she was reading a childhood book, and that book was grabbed to be the splint on Mom's arm. Like, that's just, it doesn't have to be not a creative launch and land, just this is a picture. I remember seeing my mom like this. I remember her all decked out to go to a black tie event with my father, and she'd actually made the dress, and it was beaded, and she did the whole thing. She was very creative. And anyway, I just said, just bring 10 memories of Mom, and let's reminisce in the room with her. And that day, my mom closed her eyes and became unresponsive. But we were already planning on doing that. And one of my sisters said, this could require some alcohol. And I said, great, I'll have wine. And so the four of us are sitting in the room. She was in my daughter's bedroom that had become then her room. And so my oldest sister said, Mom, we're all mothers. We know you do your best, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. We see you, we love you, and we just want for you to know this is what we remember about you. So she never opened her eyes, but my dad, as a doctor, said hearing's the last thing to go. Hospice every day saying, your mother is not actively dying yet. She's not actively dying. And earlier that day, she'd actually had ice cream. Okay. So anyway, and we started, I hit record on my phone, and we started telling stories. Well, the crazy thing, I heard stories I've never heard. Mm-hmm. I was like, who was this woman? But we created a moment to reminisce with each other. And I'm like, we had meals at the table. My sister's experiences were totally different than my experiences. Oh, my gosh. So anyway, and I still have those recordings on my phone. I have yet to listen to them, but I have it. And my sister's voices and laughing and getting choked up. And anyway, the next day, the hospice nurse showed up and she said, your mother's now actively dying.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a Friday morning. She said it could be, now it could be in the next couple of days, but she is transitioning. Anyway, so we all stayed close, fell asleep that night. And then the next morning, we could tell by her breathing and everything, it was getting to be close to the end. And anyway, 3 of us were there at her bedside. We were singing some songs. And then right before she passed, she almost sat up in bed, eyes wide open, and that look on her face, that's exactly what I was trying to describe in that chorus. It was just like, what? I just couldn't believe it. I know that's not everybody's experience.
Yeah.
But that was in 2011. And I knew that woman in the way that I knew her. But that lesson that she taught me and that look on her face, it changed the way I feel about death. I've never been the same.
I could pick that up because you'd say that, you in the song, you sing that you hope to have that look on you hope to meet your death with your eyes wide open.
Yes.
To see, what is it? Open to the forever you may find.
Yeah.
And before I get to that, there's something beautiful that you mentioned. I have a lot of sisters. I got a younger brother, but a lot of sisters. And I was raised with a lot of women. But there's something truly, truly wonderful about you and your sisters able to sit there and tell these stories about your mom, yet you're all mothers. Mm-hmm. So you understand and you're able to, what we were talking about earlier in the conversation, whatever you may have been upset with, you're able to find that forgiveness because you realize, motherhood is not an act of perfection. It's an act of love. It's an act of endurance. It's an act of pure, honest intention. But you don't know how it's going to turn out. And you're able to say that, and your mother hear that. She's like, wow, all of my baby girls have kids of their own.
Yeah.
And that, I know she wasn't responsive, but it felt to me like she got it. She
Yes.
got it. She was able to feel proud and okay, stop the worrying, because of what I understand in talking to my parents. I'm like, you don't have to worry about me anymore. They're like, we're going to constantly worry about you. And I'm sure she worried about her grown daughters who had grown kids themselves
Yeah.
at that time as well. She was able to stop worrying and be there. It's just something really, really beautiful
Yeah.
about that moment.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you all had that. And perhaps one day you get with your sisters and you listen to those recordings.
Oh man, yeah. One thing that my oldest sister Kathy has said to me a few times, and I'm sure she said it that night. She has said to me many times, Amy, we help and hurt our children because we're human. You know, and our mother helped and hurt us, and we will help and hurt our children.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like what happens to each of us in that first 20 years becomes the work of our life internally for however many years come after that. And then, but that was the lyric that I sent to Tom Douglas and said, could we write this song together? And you know, it's part of the reason that I was so brave reaching out was, you know, after that bike wreck, I have had some short-term memory issues, and now I talk a lot more openly about it. But you know, it's like anytime something happens, you can fall off something and you jump up and dust yourself off and go, "I'm okay, I'm okay."
Yeah, yeah.
And then you go, "Oh, I broke my leg." But our first response as humans is, "I'm good." But when I was trying to be creative, when you have short-term memory issues, it is very difficult with music, because an idea will come to you and then it's gone and then you can't remember it. It's different than a lyric because it's written in front of you and you can make a change and you see the edits. And so it was really a necessity to say, I mean, I'd hit play and be noodling through something, but you go, good gosh, I don't want to have to listen to 20 minutes to try to find that one idea. And so in a beautiful way, what was a new limitation, music was never my, lyrics were always my, what I felt my strong suit, but limitations create our, whatever, character or, whatever it is, our that unique thing about us. A lot of times we're just dealing with limitations, and my limitations forced me outside of myself to say, I need help with this. And so when I would send a lyric to somebody, I would say, I'm not precious about any of this. Hey, I kind of have this musical idea, run with it. But, I mean, what a gift.
Yeah.
And so, and that line, for whatever forever I'm going to find, that phrase was Tom Douglas's.
Okay.
And so, you know, that was the direction of what I had already written. But, you know, I just appreciated. He put more words into that phrase than I would have put because I'm a slow talker.
You said it changed how you feel about death.
Mm-hmm.
How?
First off, it's inevitable.
Yes.
And well, I don't wake up a day and not go, it could have been otherwise. I could have not woken up today. And so, I mean, that was, you know, I learned that first. I thought I'd learned it with that open heart surgery, and they discovered a birth defect. And I was like, you know, we went to the doctor to see what was going on with Vince, and the guy turns to me and says, I want to see you. And I got a letter from that cardiologist who's now retired, but he said, twice in my life, I felt an impulse to reach out to somebody. And he said, you were one of those people. And he pushed me to come see him, and he discovered a birth defect that would have just ended my life like that. But, you know, you would think, you know, it's like, how many times does something have to be repeated before you finally remember it? 7 times, is that what teachers say? 7 times to make a memory. And, but I had to learn that lesson again. You're taking a breath today. It could have been otherwise.
I could be wrong, but doesn't feel like you're trying to chase it down. But when it's time, you'll welcome it like an old friend.
Well, it's not a stranger. Death is not a stranger to me because I've lived around my family. I've got a lot of friends who have passed. And there's something about the mystery of not knowing how much time we have. It makes the present day feel really like a gift. And but really it was my mother's face. That was just the most present. And I trust her.
Yeah.
And I guess it's almost like whatever somebody sang under sedation or whatever, like there was no posturing in that moment. I have never taken a breath of my life that my mother was not present somewhere in my experience, my periphery. She paved the way for me. And I'm here because of her. And then just to see her go through that experience, I was like, oh, that's what it is. And so, yeah, I mean, all any of us have ever known is this life. Yeah. And what comes later, I mean, that's the essence of faith, and what we believe and how that affects the choices we make and all of that. But you don't know what you don't know.
That's the truth. And there's a lot more of that than what we know. I like to say, what I know is a pebble. What I don't know is the ocean. Let me toss it in there and see where it lands. Yep. You did this song, recorded it with 2 of your daughters, Sarah and Karina. And I think there's something beautiful about that. 3 generations are a part of this song.
Yeah.
Your mom, you, and your daughters, her great-granddaughters, are a part of this song and singing this song. And, talking to people who have grandkids, they say your grandkids are special because that's your immortality. That is you continuing to live on. And you see, you're singing this song. When was the song written?
The song was written in the last 8 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's new. And you're reflecting on this, and your mom, and you're looking at your baby girls, still your baby girls. They're grown, but they're they'll probably always be your baby girls.
Right.
Singing this song.
Yeah.
How'd you feel as this conduit of generations, as this generator of immortality for your mom?
Well, their background parts were recorded. I was standing in this room listening, and that's the great thing about having I'm so glad Vince put the studio in our home because it just adds to the memories of the bones of this old house. And, I just felt wonder listening to, like, Sarah doesn't sing as much now. She sang a lot when she was in high school and participated with me on a song, and now she's starting to play guitar again now, a decade later.
Okay.
Yeah, but just to hear how her vocal cords rub together, and Karina's too. And I do think that there's something beautiful about, you can hear the blood connection in our voices. I remember being at an event that was hosted by Carole King, and I met her daughter, and I think she was referring to another daughter, and she said, I birthed my workforce. And I thought that was such a funny phrase. But I remember both of them, and I said, I birthed my backup singers.
Yeah.
And, Karina could sing circles around all of us, but just to hear Sarah and the way that her vocal cords rubbed together so warm and luscious, and she's singing under me, and yeah. Like a kid on a carnival ride, like Disneyland without any lines, fireworks on the 4th of July, we'll all be singing on the other side, on the other side, the other side of goodbye.
One more thing about that, I was thinking that, the other side of goodbye is hello. The other side of death is a hello, an introduction. And again, it takes to that what is beyond, like going on. Our spirits, yes, our bodies are no longer here. We're no longer here in the present. We're to be remembered by those who left us. But what is beyond, no matter what your faith foundation is.
Right, right.
That's exciting.
Yes, yes. And it's funny because I grew up going to church every time the doors were opened, and so my language was through a lens of faith. And I remember, since we're surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let's run with endurance the race set before us. So that's a verse from the Bible. But in my mind, when I was a kid, I was picturing like Moses, all these.
Okay.
But now that cloud of witnesses to me is like, I wake up and I'm having my first cup of coffee. I turn on a little light right next to a photo of my mom and dad, and I go, "Morning, Mom. Morning, Dad. Morning, GK." Who's my cousin, I say good morning to my Uncle Larry, who I never met. Morning, morning. I'll think of musicians I toured with who are no longer alive. I'll just speak good morning to them, and I'll go, I'm not sure how far away the cloud is. Hi, because it's like everything you learn in life, energy doesn't dissipate. It changes shape, but you go, wow. It's like you said, whatever we think we know is a pebble. And our understanding someday will not be limited like it is today. The other side of goodbye.